This is Frontline Interviews. This is our introductory interview. Hopefully this goes well. A little bit of introduction of how this is going to work. We're going to do an in-depth interview with members of the fire department that is specialized towards their expertise and their tenure. Introducing today is Tommy O'Quinn. He is a long-serving engineer with the fire department. Tommy, is there anything you'd like to do on your introduction? Not really?
Not really.
Okay, so we'll start. So Tommy, how long have you been with the department, or with any fire department?
Almost 19 years.
19 years, that's wonderful. So what all classifications do you have, or any trainings that you have? What's your main position within the fire department?
I've got our state basic training. Pretty much I've done everything. I've held all the way up to a captain position, to a black hat, to engineer position. A little bit of everything.
So what inspired you to choose this path in the fire service? How did you get your start, and has that influenced your son?
I started obviously about 19 years ago as a junior. I had a lot of family, my brother-in-law was on the fire service, and then I had some members over there in Hudson that I called family, that was all part of the service. My brother-in-law kind of took me to the station one time, and we started hanging out, and that became like a big family, and that kind of got me my introductory into the fire service. As the years have gone, obviously I've had a son, and now he's one of our probies here, and it's kind of one of those things where I put in the back of my mind, it's the better tomorrow for him. It's the better tomorrow for my grandkids, and the rest of the members. That's what kind of drives me to keep continuing on.
That's absolutely wonderful to hear that the family has been involved for such a long time. Can you walk me through the progression of your career here from when you started to where you are now?
Started as a junior, 16 years old. Worked my way up I obviously turned 18, got on the line. Been on the line since 18, been a captain was a captain for like 4 years. Now with an engineer.
Wonderful. What has been the most memorable or defining moments in your career with the fire service?
It's the family aspect of it. It's the brotherhood. To me, that's what makes this a great job. It's the brotherhood. I have your back, you have my back. Kind of atmosphere of it.
So you'd say it was a pretty tight-knit family right here in the fire service?
Yes.
Or in the department in particular?
Yes.
What challenges did you face early in your career, and how did you overcome them?
When I started, we didn't really have many challenges. I really didn't have any challenges. Mm-hmm. Because back when I started, now almost 19 years ago, it was in the old school technology, and this is just the way it was. You went and did the job, and you come home and make sure everyone else come home with you.
Mm-hmm. How does it feel as a father to watch your son go through the same progressions that you've gone through, kind of taking a step back?
I always figured my son would follow, suit, because I've been in the service long. He's 18, so he's been there from like day one. He's been around it. To me, it's amazing to sit back and watch, and watch him step into the position or step into this role, and hopefully it will pay off really well for him. I'm proud of what he's becoming.
That's absolutely wonderful to have a young man like that in this community. So as an engineer, that's your title, what are your primary responsibilities, and how have they differed than the roles that you've had in the past?
Primary engineer position, I'm responsible to operate the truck. Your life is on the line if I can't do my job properly. So I take pride in trying to knowing how to operate the truck, because if you're at the end of the line and I run you out of water, I would expect you to come and scream and yell at me. So I take pride in knowing how to operate the truck. I take pride in making sure you get to go home to your family.
So since we've covered what your responsibilities are, can you take me through a typical day on a fire scene and what that's like for you?
Typical day, on a fire scene, it would be, obviously get crew to the scene, get them water. Operating the pump, get them water. Depends on in town or rural fires, depends on how you work out the water supply. If it's a rural fire, obviously it's going to be a tanker, or you're going to be siphoning water out of a drop tank. All that plays factors on how to attack the fire on my end of it. If it's in town, obviously we're going to hook a hydrant. So there's things you got to think about as an engineer or an operator, where you're going and how you're going to make sure your crew gets to come home with you.
Now, like you just said, as being prepared, how do you prepare yourself for the unexpected things that you might experience while you're on that scene?
You really can't ever you really can't, because every day is a different thing. Every run's a different run. You may have a barn fire one day with full of hay, and then the next day you have another barn fire full of old cars. You never know what you're actually going to get into. So every day is a different day.
Now, as you're operating it, are you thinking about different scenarios that could come up and how you would address them, or are you kind of just like acting on reaction, where we're at, what we need? Now, obviously, you're based on your training,
Yeah.
but do you run through those scenarios of if this were to happen, what my next step is?
Yes, always. You're always trying to think 2 steps ahead. You're looking at the scene, your scene size up, watching everything. I find as an operator, I'm always looking at the building, trying to make sure what's going, always looking at the smoke, seeing what's, my surroundings. You never get tunnel vision, because when you get tunnel vision, you may miss something, and that could save your life or your crew's life.
Now, how do you ensure the reliability and readiness of the equipment that you manage, especially under pressure?
Obviously, we train on it. We training makes perfect. All our trucks are serviced on a routine service, so everything will be up and ready to go. You get back to the station, you put the truck back in service, you get it back ready to go, so everything is ready. So as soon as that bell goes off, you can get out the door and get service the community.
Can you share an example of a particular challenging situation you've encountered on the job and how you handled it?
I'd say it'd probably be my first med run I ever ran on. There was a gentleman at one of our factories here in town. He got his hand smashed in a press. I was sitting on my knee, and the gentleman lay laying back into me to hold him, and they started to cut his glove. And the other members that was with me said that I started turning white.
completely understandable.
Oh yes, most understandable. They touched me on the shoulder, said, "You okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I just, I had to refocus on what needed to be done at the time." So once I got my posture again, I'm like, "Okay, well, we're good to go. Let's just, let's take care of the patient."
Piggybacking off of that, how has firefighting equipment and technology evolved over your career, and how has that impacted your work?
Obviously, everything has gotten newer. Trucks are getting bigger, they're longer, they're more electrical technology to them, or some of that is I think, a good change. Some of it could be bad, but I think they're in the right direction with the new technology on the trucks.
Now, using that new technology, can you talk about the importance of training and drills in ensuring effectiveness of the firefighting equipment?
Yeah. Like I said before, training makes perfect. Just like in any aspect, sports or anything like that. I mean, it is. The more you practice, the more you're comfortable with the equipment. The more you are ready to operate the equipment.
Oh, absolutely, yes, absolutely. With that, how do you ensure safety, not only for yourself, but for your crew, your teammates out there?
Just training, training to.
What are some of the biggest challenges in maintaining and operating a firefighting equipment?
Obviously, we routine maintenance. We're fortunate enough to have enough equipment here where we can take something out of service for, routine maintenance or breakdowns and still have a backup plan here. So that's pretty fortunate to have that here.
I imagine that in these runs and stuff like that, you see some things that are not the average person sees. How do you handle the physical and the emotional stress that it puts on you?
That one's a tough one. I've seen some things that haunt me. You talk about it. If it gets to a point where you can't handle it, it's kind of nice. It's the familyhood, the brotherhood here. You can talk to somebody. You should never count anybody out because everything's different. Everybody handles stress differently here.
Now, in finding ways to handle those situations on your own, when you have newer firefighters or junior firefighters, how do you mentor them to help them progress in their own careers?
Give them the tools that they need. Give them the knowledge that you have. If they have asked questions, you answer their question best you can. With my son going into the academy classes in school, like I explained to him, you are going to learn things that we do different here that they do up there in the academy class. You may take bring some of that back, or bring most of that back, and tweak the way you do things. But if you always have questions, there's always members that are up here that can answer those questions or try to help him with his progression into his career.
So, what kind of advice would you give somebody new to the fire service? Either being somebody that starts late in life, that's starting as a adolescent, what would you say to them would be the best piece of advice that you've either gotten or that you've taken on yourself that you'd like to share?
This is the best job in the world.
Best job in the world, absolutely. I 100% agree. How do you see firefighting and the fire service in general advancing into the future?
Like you said before, the technology on the trucks are getting newer. The trucks are getting newer. If they're in the right direction, I think it's the equipment, the air packs, the face masks, the gear, everything is getting newer. Unfortunately, the stuff that your furniture is made out of, your beds are made out of, they're getting cheaper to be made, so it's more harmful for us. But our gear, like I said, our equipment is all getting newer. It's all getting better made to keep us safe.
Can you share with us one of the most proud moments that you've had in your time here with your career in the fire service?
Watching my son put turnout gear on.
I imagine that is a very proud moment for you. Looking back on your career, is there anything that you would have done differently?
No.
Well, that's good. To live without any kind of
I don't have any
regrets. Absolutely. When the day comes that you're ready to hang up your boots, what do you want your legacy to be in the fire service, as a firefighter, as a person in the community?
I don't really look for a legacy, or I don't want no one to know who I was. I joined this service, like I said, almost 19 years ago, not to have an image, not to, have a pat on my back. It was a better tomorrow, a future, for my grandkids, to help my community. I don't want a attaboy or nothing like that. It's just one of those things where I just do it because it's the right thing to do, and well, we do it.
That is a wonderful, humble answer, Tommy. And I think with that, we're going to close up our interview today. And we want to thank Tommy O'Quinn for stopping by. And we'll continue this, hopefully, on a bi-weekly basis. Is there anything that you would like to share before we go?
Proud to be a member. Proud to have you as a brother firefighter.
Well, thank you, Tommy. Everybody, you have a great day. Thank you.